listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So I got a question. When was the last time you looked at a flyer that came into your door? I've got this new Canadian Tire, and I thought, wow, it's got a series of tires on actual, which makes sense because it's Canadian Tire.
Oh my God, you brought the prop to our...
I do.
Yeah, wow, incredible.
I've got
incredible.
it right here. But I was just wondering, I guess at one time that was a way to shop, but I haven't I haven't gone through a flyer in a long time when I've gone, you know what? I need to go and get these curling irons here, saving 35%.
I read the Costco flyer like it's the news.
Do you?
Yeah.
This one here? The
Costco one. There's a magazine.
What?
No.
You don't get
I just
Costco
get the little
magazine?
tiny one. No, I have to get that one now. We don't go to the store. We do it like Instacart, so we get like the small little like. Clearly, you don't have a vehicle, Costco.
That's smart. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you don't get to see the pleasure of pasta.
Oh, I feel like I'm missing out. Is this part of the Red Shoe Diaries podcast you guys are doing?
I have a sticker on my mailbox that says no flyers.
Do they respect that?
Yeah, the mail person doesn't put anything in our mailbox.
I used a flyer coupon last night.
You did?
So this is weirdly specific to my experience this week. I don't really like Panago that much as pizza, but Carlos likes it, and I was like, all right, that's fine. Let's try it. And I know we've talked about pizza a lot in the last little while, but here we go. Anyway, and he was like, oh, we have these coupons, and he pulled them off the fridge and handed them to me. And then you have to decide which coupon you want to use, and that's fine. So, but then you try to use it as you would normally, because I order pizza online mostly, unless I have to call the place directly. And you couldn't use it online. So I'd gone through and made all our modifications and blah, blah, blah. And as a car, couldn't use
Of course, modifications.
Of course, modifications. That's what I am. And Andrea, Modification Warner. And so then I had to get rid of all that. And then I called into the call center and I got the person. And the very first thing he said to me when I called was, hello, would you like to add 2 liters of Coca-Cola to your order for $4? And I laughed and I said, well, that's not good math. No, thank you. And then I realized I haven't bought a 2 liter of soda for a long time. So I don't know if that's good math, but it felt wrong to me. And I know he was just trying to do his job, but I couldn't stop myself from blurting that out. And he said, okay. I said, good, let's move on now. And I said, okay, so I have this coupon. And he's like, okay, can you tell me the code? So then I had to take off my glasses to read the code because it was in tiny, tiny print. And I'm old now. And I don't have bifocals, but I, take off my glasses to read the small print. So then I did that. And then we placed our order. Everything was fine. Excellent service. And then at the end, he says, all right, now you're going to have to give this coupon physically to the driver. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, and I can't pay in advance. I have to do it at the door and give it to the driver. And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, this has been something, and I never want to use a coupon again. That's all I have to say. I did not enjoy the numerous extra steps. I like it when my food gets left at a door and we have a contactless experience because I'm really not out here in the streets trying to get more COVID. I just, I want to cut down on the barriers and the points of contact, but they send you a flyer and then you can't use it online. But then they send you to a call center that often is extremely busy, which, okay, fair enough. It wasn't that night. But, they fired all their regular people that work here. Anyway, I don't understand what flyers are doing anymore.
Couponing is not for you.
No, I can see this.
I don't mind couponing. I like saving money. I'm not not like a cool, like gross royal, like just living high on the hog. I want to save my $5.
I mean, but I think that's a separate thing from couponing. Couponing is a very specific way to save money.
Yeah,
it's a lifestyle.
You gotta like commit to eating products you don't even want because you've got a coupon for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got stuck on coupon TikTok for like 2 days, and it was just like, I don't understand what's going on here. I was just like, how, like they spend all of their time just looking at coupons and getting thousands of dollars worth of things, usually at Costco, for like 3 cents. And I'm just like, no, my couponing extends to Domino's and pizza. God, this is like a pizza podcast now. I just use the Domino's coupons.
How did that happen?
The Domino's coupons, I get a free pizza after X number of orders.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I do like their cheese bread. Domino's cheese bread's pretty good. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's not bad.
Hey,
good
look,
stuff.
we're not talking about pizza stuffs anymore.
Okay, fine. Coupons.
We're talking about coupons.
Well, we're talking
That's
about flyers, and now see, I have been debating this one object for a long time, the air fryer. Some people say just put a cookie sheet in there with some food, and you roast it, and it's the same thing. But here I see now that I can save 25% on this air fryer with a flex basket. I don't even know what that is, but for some reason I want that now.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
I know. I don't need any of these power tools that they're advertising.
Lisa, you look, more appliances just take up more space on your counter. You're a person who's a minimalist.
I know.
You don't need the clutter. You don't need the clutter.
I don't need an air fryer, but I keep, see, you can get onto air fryer TikTok. Let me tell you, that is a place.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And suddenly you're finished it, and you're just like, why am I not living this way? Everyone is loving their food, and it's so
healthy,
incredible, and so healthy. And but then I'm also thinking, I really like deep fried things a lot. Like I do. Like if you can deep fry it, I want to eat it. We've had this conversation before, and I understand that where I should be going on vacations is the American South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where if it is an item of food, it will be deep fried. So
yeah.
So really, an air fryer is not for me.
What you could do is in the summer, do a road trip tour of just going from fair to fair in the summer, like state fairs.
That could be fun.
Or
that would be the
Calgary
ultimate.
Stampede. Everything there is deep fried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They will find a way to deep fry oil if they could.
Wow.
That's all I'm
gotta say,
asking for. Yeah.
I had some very delicious agadashi tofu the other day. Like, talk about a delicious way to deep fry. Like, that is num 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 num. I love that.
I would not have thought of you as a tofu person.
Oh, I love different. I like a firmer tofu, like an extra firm tofu usually. But this was the best agadashi tofu I've ever had. I spent 5 years as a vegetarian, and that's how I first got anemic. So, I've been anemic so many times and for so long.
I've been.
Don't mean
anemic,
to brag,
and
but
you've been anemic, and I am anemic, and you are anemic. Sorry.
Iron transfusions, yay!
Yay.
Or infusions, not transfusions. Good. Anyway,
Transfusion. Can you imagine? Carlos is just going to give you some iron.
You know what? He did have too much iron at one point, and it would be amazing if I could have just taken it. Just a little bit, yeah.
What happens when you have too much iron?
How does that work?
Well, you're not supposed to, and so they're like, "Hey, just cut down on meat, friend," and so you do, and then you're good.
But how did that manifest? Like symptoms?
Oh, there was no symptoms. It was just came up in his blood work that his iron was on the higher side. So
wow,
yeah.
Maybe he was an Iron Man.
How did you two become so unbalanced when you live and eat together?
Was he eating all the meat you weren't eating when you were vegetarian?
Well, I've been anemic several times, and so like I would say that probably the first time was the vegetarianism, and then like the last on and off for 10 years has been almost exclusively like menstruation related. So like just, It's fine. I've talked about it so much on this podcast. No one really cares about it's, Andrea's clot talk time, It's fine.
You never know when you tune into this podcast if you're going to get
Exactly.
pizza or menstruation talk. So, it's a lottery.
Either way, I don't like red sauce. Anyway, I'm sorry I said that, and yet I'm not. I'm also too pleased with myself. You can tell that I had a short amount of sleep last night, and then I napped this afternoon for 3 hours, and so I'm really just a little bit unhinged. Anyway, that's a pivot.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody has anything after that.
I don't know where we go from here.
I don't know where we go.
I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
I'm Sidney.
Yay!
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, you're listening to Pop This. Sid, we're so excited to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to immediately.
Go ahead.
Because I honestly thought we had done this film, and it turned out we hadn't. And you were like, hey.
You being the guest for this one was very surprising to me.
I think it's surprising for most people. The professional homosexual loves the straight rom-com. What?
Well, and so yeah, you either told me or tweeted it. I can't remember. We were in conversation somewhere, either in face to face or online, and that it's the only hetero rom-com that you love.
Yeah,
and I love this because I love to find out little quirks about people. This is really exciting to me.
Oh, I'm very quirky.
Can you just tell me a little bit about about your love for Ever After?
I think it really, honestly, this is so niche Canadian. It started before I even saw it because the trailers used 2 songs. One was Fable by Robert Miles, which I still love, and the other one was The Mummer's Dance by Lorena McKennitt.
I love Lorena McKennitt.
I am obsessed with that song. I am 40 and I love this song to no end. So the trailers had sold me. I was like, yes, of course I'm going to go see this multiple times in the theaters. My poor mother. And then I could see it and I was like, oh, this is kind of feminist. And now that I watched it again, I'm sure we'll get into it. But I'm just like, oh yeah, this is pretty third wave feminist, post feminist, if you want to use a 90s term. But yeah, it was really just the Lorena McKennitt that sold me initially. And then it was just, oh yeah, this is a pretty decent movie.
Oh my God. I did not expect that it would be the Lorena McKennitt hook.
So I feel like the song choice was very pointed. But I also think the movie really helped with the song becoming super popular in Canada and Europe because she's massive in Europe, unsurprisingly.
Wow.
We're off on realms I was not expecting.
Yeah, I just this keeps going places I didn't expect.
Exactly. Plot twist.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Okay, Sid, I'm going to read your bio.
Okay.
Sid is a professional queer working within the anti-violence sector. They, honestly, the first line, so incredible. They are an Aries, a decent home cook, and an occasional drag show producer. They live in East Van with their wife, anxious rescue chihuahua, and large himbo tabby cat.
It's a good bio.
It's one of the best bios we've ever read on the
Short,
show.
Absolutely.
Sweet, but yeah.
Thank you.
It gives everything, and it just leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, it's very mysterious.
I want to know the Lorena McKennitt thing. That wasn't even in the bio. That was a surprise, just for
Yeah, that was a full surprise.
Here's the Lorena McKennitt fandom.
Oh my God! All right. So just to make sure everyone understands, we're talking about Ever After, and Lisa, would you enjoy reading the background for us, please?
Wouldn't I? Hold on a second. I sure would. Okay. This is from Wikipedia. Ever After is a 1998 American romantic period drama film inspired by the Charles Perrault fairy tale Cinderella. It is directed by Andy Tennant, and Tennant, Susanna Grant, and Rick Parks wrote the screenplay. The film removes the pantomime and supernatural elements that are commonly associated with the Cinderella tale and instead treats the story as historical fiction, setting it in Renaissance-era France. It is considered to be a modern, post-feminist interpretation of the fairy tale.
Thank you so much. AG, would you like to read the synopsis, please?
Sure. This updated adaptation of the classic fairy tale tells the story of Danielle, a vibrant young woman who is forced into servitude after the death of her father. Danielle's stepmother, Rodmilla,
is a very natural name that rolls off the tongue.
Is a heartless woman who forces Danielle to do the cooking and cleaning while she tries to marry off her own 2 daughters. But Danielle's life takes a wonderful that I'm putting in that question mark turn when she meets the charming Prince Henry. That's from Rotten Tomatoes.
I like that you didn't add a question mark after charming. Great work, everyone.
There should be one there too. You're right.
Yeah. So I'd like to get everyone's first impressions. Like, have you seen Ever After before? If so, did watching it now sort of change your original opinion? It's been 25 years, so I'm gonna start with AG.
Oh, really? Okay.
I am. Yeah, I am.
I had never seen this movie before.
That's what I suspected. Cool.
The first time. Yeah. I mean, I was like, I'm not a person who watches movies and is like, oh, this is not historically accurate or like whatever. But like, there's some things in this movie, like, that it was just like hard, like every few minutes to be like, I want a 4-minute egg. And it's like, what? This woman's working over like a medieval cauldron, like with a sundial. She's not cooking you a 4-minute egg. It's like, I don't know. And you know, Drew Barrymore's English accent was a wild ride through this whole movie. You know, but I guess you have to take it as a fairy tale and just like not care about like when was sequins invented? I don't know. When did they start using gold lame for curtain materials? I don't know. And just kind of like not be bothered with all of that because it's just like part of the fairy tale, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pleasant enough watch. I got that like for its time, it was probably felt like a really progressive way of telling the Cinderella story. So yeah, I didn't mind it, but I was really like even her name, Danielle, is like, where did that name even come from? Like you couldn't just try like 5% harder to get a more accurate name to the period. Anyway, sorry. That was a rant. That was a rant. Somebody else can go.
Yeah, I mean they obviously broke the bank with Rodmilla. Yeah. So they That's the best. That's the best they could do. Lisa, I'd like to come to you next.
I am going to have to echo AG there on a lot of sentiments.
I
had not seen this before.
You hadn't either. Oh
nope.
my God.
Wow. I don't know why it never grabbed me, but as I have 2 favorite movies that are, I don't know, I would say kind of in the same sort of genre. Lady Hawk, which is a really weird one. I don't know if anyone remembers seeing that with Michelle Pfeiffer, Matthew Broderick, and Rutger Hauer, weirdly. Anyway, love that movie. Seen it ridiculous number of times. And The Princess Bride is one of my favorite movies. I love The Princess Bride. I just think it's a treat. So I felt like this was, I don't know what the years are for The Princess Bride, and that's got to be older, right? Yeah, I think
The Princess Bride is like 80 something.
Yeah, and so I would say this was, in my opinion, was trying to be sort of a Princess Bride and missed it quite a bit, because if this is a rom-com, I don't remember laughing once in this movie. And I also was like, why is Leonardo da Vinci hanging out with them? Like, I didn't understand that either. Like, why? Like, does he travel? I don't know anything about the life of Leonardo da Vinci, but was he known to travel around and just stay with wayward kings and in their kingdoms and fly around his machines? Like,
Before there was Airbnb, there was like
and the I don't know, the beginning of it was very like Jean Moreau in bed talking to Grimm's. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it didn't launch well for me. I was really confused.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I was
Fair
waiting
enough.
for like a dragon to fly through or something. Like,
I believe her name is Rodmilla. She does show up.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just the English accents. They were not. I mean, sorry, Angelica, that didn't work either. Like, I don't.
but also like the whole premise is like they're supposed to be French.
Yeah.
Like, why
do we have an English accent?
Isn't
that's just
every
like
movie
the
like that,
rule of
though?
yeah, it's like the rule of period everything is just like default English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Ghent is in
never-
Brussels. Like, it's in Belgium. Like, Brent is like Ghent. It's 45 minutes from Antwerp. I tried to go when I was traveling this summer, but Chloe was like, "We're not doing a side trip to Ghent for this stupid movie. We're not doing this."
Oh wow! Oh wow! You tried to do some ever after tourism.
I was like, "I'm going to go to Ghent because this is where Rodmilla's from." Chloe's like, "No, we're not."
Oh, that would have been amazing if you turned up there and asked the locals, like, I'm
How do you
looking
feel
for
about this representation?
Rodmilla's house.
Okay, and can I ask one other question? I have two. So at the very beginning, the Drew Barrymore's dad owns this house, and they call him Baron or something, right? Or So that title didn't go down to Drew Barrymore? She wouldn't get some sort of like Lady Danielle or something?
I'm sure she did, but I feel like the evil stepmother was just like, "Nah, it's for me, though."
the whole scene where the prince is all put out because she's just a commoner, which was odd. It made no sense at all. Wouldn't she have had some sort of title?
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was
Yeah.
that was a sticking point for me as well. But
That's in my notes.
yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough.
And also,
yes,
this movie was 2 hours long. I just want to point out that it was 2 hours.
Yep. Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna butt ahead of our treasured guest here, and just so I have seen this movie. I've only seen it once, I think. Although in my head, I've seen it multiple times, which is weird.
What does
Because I
that
really
even
thought.
mean?
No, I thought I'd seen it like a bunch of times because like I can feel like there were moments from watching it 2 nights ago where I was like, oh yeah, this has lived in my head rent free for 25 years. Like I have not seen it again. This has actually just stayed with me. Like there are a few moments, and I guess it's probably because of like when it came out. It came out in 1998. I would have seen it right away. I had a recently deceased father, so I was vulnerable to like this kind of like starting point for a film. I also really liked Drew Barrymore. And I still do, like, regardless of her, thankfully she walked back her bad take on union busting. But anyway, honestly, thankfully she did that, because otherwise I would not have felt good about doing this movie. But when I had read a lot about Drew Barrymore at the time as well, and there were like these standout moments throughout the film that I thought she really, like, it was sort of like her most transcendent performance at that time, like up until that moment, like up until like 1998. 'Cause, to be fair, I hadn't seen Charlie's Angels yet. It was still a couple years away from us, and we didn't know how good it was going to get. Where just like the moments where she and the other servants are reunited with the man who was sold, and they have this like kind of like happy family kind of reunion, and it's really sweet and tender. And I remember crying at that in the theater, and I cried again the other night. And then when she confronts Rodmilla and, says that this is the only mother she's ever, she's the only mother she's ever known, and hasn't she ever loved her even just a little bit? And Rodmilla, like, because we know, and because I do think Angelica Houston does like a very fine bit of acting in this moment where she's so put out and so jealous of this little girl, because her dying husband saves his last words for his daughter, which is, you know, gross and stupid and like kind of misogynistic, like on a lot of levels, where like women are always in competition with each other, blah, blah, blah. But like we see how it breaks Radmilla's heart in the beginning, and that she has carried it and punished Danielle for like her entire life. But Danielle has always craved her affection anyways, because like that's a very common abuse dynamic. And anyway, that like I always, because I knew how bad Drew Barrymore's relationship was with her own mother in real life, I brought a lot of that knowledge into that scene.
Wow.
And I thought Drew did a like really beautiful job in that moment. So I know I'm giving the movie maybe more credit than it deserves, but I also did very much enjoy in 1998, like this was absolutely the kind of like exciting feminism in a big budget movie that I wanted to see. Like this was in line with sort of like, you know, where I was at. Like in 1998, I was sort of like, I was still kind of like I was still kind of gatekeepery feminist. I was still side-eyeing Spice Girls. I was, you know, sort of not in my girl power era at all. And this felt like sort of an antidote to a bit of that, because like she rescues herself, but
she still marries the prince.
No, I know. And I understand that, but that's like, that's what fairy tales do. Like I can't rewrite the rules of fairy tales at this point, but like I will say like 25 years later, I have so little regard for how she could fall for this prince at all.
Yeah.
And I think Drew Barrymore does a great job of making it seem like that's a reasonable thing, but DeGray Scott, well.
The entitled man-child. I mean, I guess maybe we weren't saying that then, but holy
we
catfish.
Weren't, but
wow, did that that passed as a sexy man? That's really depressing.
It absolutely did.
Yeah,
like honestly, I feel it absolutely did. Like I think it's only in the last, sadly, I'm going to say 10 years that we've sort of started to really give that is that attractive? You know, because like think about 10 years ago, there were like men still talking about how they were like reading The Art of Negging or whatever that book is. Anyway, yeah, just anyway. I still really enjoy Ever After. I gotta say, for all the things that I'm frustrated by it.
Here's the thing. It's a fairy tale, so you do have to suspend belief a little bit and like just kind of like ignore some of the egregious timelines and the clothing and the accents. And like, yeah, Drew Barrymore absolutely went to like the Renee Zellweger School of Accents for this British accent. Like, because I'm just like, this is pick a country, pick a county, and stay there, please. Like, just pick one accent and stick with it. But it is.
Can you
it is still a fairy
imagine
tale.
like the accent coach on that set just being like, nah.
I give up.
I feel like the accent
It's
coach was just
fine.
like, I can't work with this. I'm leaving.
Done my best.
I'm not putting my name on this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I can overlook a lot of like the very, very justified criticisms. Like it is a fairy tale. But I do like that they put like a little bit of spin on it. Like she does have the gay best friend. Like that's kind of cool. Like
that's progressive in 98 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he paints in 1998. That
And
was one of the
he's into
queerest things
fashion.
you could do. That's right.
He painted,
That's right.
He was into fashion.
That's right. You're right. He was into fashion too. Yeah.
And he was like a fanboy over what's his face, Da Vinci,
Leonardo.
So I'm just like,
But like, how does he get to live his life next door to Danielle, and Danielle's just a servant in a field, and he's like, what's
probably because he's a
happening?
man. Like it's probably just because he's a man.
But like, if he's a man, like it seems like the rules of this kingdom are that he could, I guess, like make an arrangement where he like Danielle's his beard or something. Like you'd think that they could have figured something out for themselves.
That's the movie I wanted. That is the movie I wanted. I wanted
That would be so
like,
good.
I wanted her to be like, I'm going to teach this sad potato of a man how to not be a piece of crap. So he'll be a better king, and I'm going to go over here with my beard and live in my estate, and he'll just make me fancy clothes. This is the movie I want.
Oh wow, what a dream. What a dream.
On just one other question I have. What exactly did Danielle do to her copy of Utopia? Why did it look like that? I've had books for over 20 years. They haven't turned into rags. But that first scene of her holding that book in her hand, what had happened to it? When she read it, what was she doing? Like, I just couldn't quite figure that out.
It's her heartache. That's how it manifests on the pages.
It's
It's Dorian Gray, but it's in a book.
So she's rubbing it like all the time.
It's the only book she's ever read, Lisa. And
Okay, so.
And it
It's the
turned
only
she's
book
a
she
book
ever
person.
had. I think she read books up until then. Because like I feel like all her books were just like, because she does like say, she talks about how he can quote more. The prince quotes more and she identifies it. And so I mean, I think she has read at least one other book. Can you imagine those being the 2 books you've read?
She's getting a longevity of the 2 books.
And that turning
Yeah.
into a book person where like books are your defining point of your personality for the rest of your life.
I mean, I'm going to be on her side because she wants to like have education and she wants to blame the aristocracy. Like I'm on side with that. Like I think, and she makes some very good points. I think like I like her speeches and I like that like they're asking all of the teenage people who flocked to this movie and loved it, like to even just ask them to think about like if you are born into horrific circumstances and neglected and marginalized by rich people, like what, like where are rich people having the accountability for what they've done to people and they're like not thinking about community? I like that messaging. Like I feel like that's also kind of like a radical thing. My situation is that then we find out that the portrait that Leonardo da Vinci did hung until the French Revolution. So Danielle, a servant, disrupts the monarchy's sort of staid, specific, you have to have like class-based nonsense. But within 3 generations, I guess Danielle's efforts did nothing. She became a royal suckwad like the rest of them, and they continued to not feed their people, and they didn't prevent the French Revolution. They didn't feed people. Like this is
I can
a
believe
disappointing
that
legacy.
I can believe that all happened.
Yeah, I believe.
I have
once she got
zero
back
faith.
and saw everything, I think it was easy for her to look out the window and just say, "Yep, they're lazy."
Yeah,
What's
I have
the
zero faith in
absolute
this
power
character.
corrupts absolutely? Like,
Yeah.
she's having like the servants bring her breakfast in bed again, and she's like, "Oh yes, this is nice."
Yeah,
And you could hear her arguing, "This was actually what I was born into. Like, it's not my fault. This was what I was supposed to be if Dad hadn't untimely died when I was 8."
Yeah.
Yeah, what an idiot for dying.
Right?
Yeah.
That I hadn't clocked that particular part in 1998. I thought like Danielle was going to change everything. I had somehow missed out that like the revolution still happened like within 3 generations, and they had left their people to just die hungry.
Yeah.
Well, you know, again,
Awkward.
Again, we can't fault the fairy tale. That's what happens, right? I mean,
Look, she invented zippers on dresses and acrylic shoes and face makeup sequins. Like she did a lot of stuff, but preventing the revolution wasn't one of those things.
Listen, you can invent glitter or you can stop the French Revolution. You can't do both.
Yeah, I can't do both.
No, you're right. I guess I'm thinking too much. It really hit me the other night. I was like, oh wow, like everything that like we think is like very progressive about the messaging of this film, like they tell us it literally does nothing to change history or the like. But like, so do you think honestly, like if you're gonna make a period piece, like can't you just make it a little less specific than this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, this was a bit all over the map, the writing of this particular gem.
No, I know, but I just think like it doesn't, like they didn't need to say the line that it hung in the palace until the revolution. Like it's such a, like why? What is that detail? Like I mean, honestly, the whole framing of it all is like,
Because I think
silly.
one of the writers in that room also hated Danielle and was like, no one's going to notice if I put this last line in until like decades later when people are watching and they realize, yeah, she's She was no good. She was no
I
good.
mean, maybe she tried because like the old lady is like her great granddaughter or something, or granddaughter. So like maybe she did try, and maybe like maybe
she's still living in a mansion though, right? She's
yeah,
not out there on the
and maybe
street.
the painting was just like held up as like she did her best.
She's still having servants in costumes bring her coffee. I don't think she learned much over the years.
That's the thing that's like so depressing about these like sort of movies that like kind of want to dabble with like girl power feminism is like they don't want to like, and they, but even when they like, I don't know. I know that this movie doesn't have to answer for everything. I just wish that like it had been like, so they opened their university and like education was like barrier free and like it does like they disavowed like, you know, like the
or
extra gross status of having to live in a palace.
Or she could have been like, when he was like, "You're a peasant, I can't marry you," she could have been like, "Fine," and then just walked away and been like, "That's
like
okay."
the paper bag princess, right?
Yeah,
Who went,
I'm just
screw you, buddy. I'm out of here.
Yeah, and just like gone back to normal living and not cared about it.
You know what's a really depressing end to a speaking of fairy tales, though? I was just thinking about one of the modern fairy tales and how it ends with, and then they moved to a mansion in Montecito, California, and lived happily ever after.
Is that the ending of the OC? Is that what?
That's Harry and Meghan.
Oh, Harry and Meghan. Sorry. Oh my God, you're right.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Right?
Wow.
That's their fairy tale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't follow
I mean-
the royals, so that was kind of like lost on me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The royals
Modern
of
day
our
fairy tale.
time.
Okay.
Modern fairy tale. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I do like a lot of aspects though of this film. Like I do think like it pleases me that she like is about to like murder a man with a sword. I appreciated that. I like that they're like talking about like human trafficking and you know that's that awfulness, but like I guess I feel like there's a lot of ideas that they're going for, but they don't really land it in the script.
Yeah.
And like
I kind of feel like, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it could have been 20 minutes shorter, I think, and that would have helped.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
It feels like to me that they read like the girl power issue of Spin and Rolling Stone, and you know, one interview with like Tori Amos and Fiona Apple, and this is what women want. This is what the youth want. We're going to put all of this into a movie, and they hit on some points of it. Like it is very much of that like riot girl kind of sentiment of women can do what they want to. It's very like she is her own person. It is an individual thing, but yeah, it's just. You gotta pick a theme, and yeah, it's really like you said, it's all over the place, and it could have been a lot shorter. And I'm so gay when they mentioned Cartier, I was like, the jewelry guy, he was around then. What? Fully forgetting there was a colonizer named Cartier, and I was like, right, yes.
Oh yeah.
There are other things outside of the game world that are called Cartier. Don't mind me.
I still covet a tank watch no matter what happens.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone was wearing one in this movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, absolutely.
As everything was thrown in.
I do think they do sell out Danielle quite a lot, like, and always usually with regard to Prince Henry. Like they the Chicago Reader wrote, Drew Barrymore plays the complicated belle of the climactic ball and develops a convincing, intellectually based friendship with the prince. Is that the movie you guys saw?
No.
Not at all.
No. He seemed to be always dismissing her and then being a big baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he
like
really
eventually
seems like a trust fund kid. He's just like one of these like
Doesn't
West
he?
End
Exactly that.
trust fund kids who like comes to Commercial Drive to like hang out with the Poors for a while and get schooled. And he's like, well, the Poors were mean to me. I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like his big complaint is that like he's stuck having to become prince. Like that's his like personal strife. Like this woman is in a field with apples in her apron and dirt all over her face, and he just stole her family's horse and is gonna be all like, yeah, but like I'm so rich and I have to become a prince.
He's
I
a
have to
grown
become
man.
one
Money I
day,
sleep
like-
on is uncomfortable.
He's a grown man, and he put sheets together to climb out his window. I mean, that is
Yeah.
embarrassing. Embarrassing.
It does, like, in retrospect now, seem like maybe Marguerite was a better match for him.
Yes.
Maybe.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The revolution would have started sooner though if she'd been.
Yeah.
All I was hoping for when I was watching this is they would go into the castle and I would hear, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
I mean, it does have like. So was I the only one that cried?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But you
cool.
cry every week, so it's
That's
okay.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I'm very in touch with my emotions. I rage cried twice before 8 a.m. the other day. I was telling AG about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. It's good. Honestly, better that way. Can you imagine if I didn't cry and I was full of
Yeah.
rage?
No,
Better
fair.
out than
Yep.
in.
Yep.
I would have many convictions. But I really like the line, and this also stuck with me for the last 25 years, is like when and I'm sure that this is probably stolen from something else, so I don't want to necessarily give credit to the Ever After script for this, but I really, really like it when, and I feel like this was somehow instructive to me in 1998, that I have taken this as like a bit of a life lesson that I've carried with me, when she says to Rudmilla, "I want you to know that I will forget you after this moment and never think of you again. But you, I am quite certain, will think about me every single day for the rest of your life." That
You
really
just
felt
wanted to
powerful
always
in
say that to
1998.
somebody.
But that doesn't feel true.
Oh, I agree. It's not true,
No.
but I like it as a line, and I have tried to hold it with me as like a instructive lesson. Just like, you know what? Forget him.
Yeah, because
The best-
earlier you said there was the scene where she said to her, "You are the only mother I ever
Yes.
had." So
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously, when she gets therapy, because she's going to need a lot, this whole situation is
Can you imagine what
Right?
therapy is in the 1500s?
The royal therapist, their turnover rate is so high.
yeah,
so high.
They don't
Eventually,
get what you
it's just you. It's just you stroking a horse and just being like, "Hello."
But yeah, but that therapist is going to note, yes, you said that, but you also know she was the only mother you ever had. Let's talk.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like, also she didn't seem like that bad at the very beginning of the movie. Like, A-Dubs, you were saying, it was that like turning point where the father dies, and I guess she has a jealous rage over the fact that his last words were to Drew Barrymore and not her, and that somehow sets her off on this downward spiral into being an
They didn't
evil
know each other
person.
that long. What are we talking? A couple of months, if that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
died the day he came home, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
And then he
I
left
mean,
again,
it-
like immediately. It seemed like.
Yeah, he was gonna go away immediately for like they had the negotiation. I mean, that's why I think like, and then when and I think Angelica Houston's eyebrows are doing some really like just heavy lifting.
They
Like,
always
even
do.
though they're so thin,
They
like
always do.
Yeah.
she's you know, like she lets Rodmilla have a moment to sort of really consider whether she did ever like allow herself to love this child. I mean, I know she's been horrible and abusive and terrible, and there's no excuse for that. But like you at least get the sense that there's like a bit of dimension to her, a bit of dimensionality. You know what we haven't talked about though, which is so important? The nonstop fat shaming of Melanie Linsky's character, even though Melanie Linsky is not fat in this film.
No.
No, not at all.
No. But she does an amazing job
Linsky is-
of making this character
Yeah.
funny and giving this character dimension.
She looks 5
Yeah.
years old, too. I forget.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah, she looks so young.
She's a baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
So was this? I think this may have been like this, like the next thing after Heavenly Creatures that I had seen her in. So for me, I was just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
the wingnut from Heavenly Creatures playing. The
I
cute
have
sister
never
in this
seen
movie.
Heavenly
Nice.
Creatures.
Oh,
I've
you
never seen
well,
Heavenly Creatures.
okay,
I
I've
want to
seen
do
that.
it for the podcast.
I
wanna
would
do it
feel
for the
worse
podcast.
about
Oh,
that
yeah, you
than I
got
would
it,
about
yeah.
Ever After.
Yeah, that's
worse
that's
in
a
which
must
way?
see movie.
No,
in
you
which
haven't
way?
seen Heavenly Creatures.
Oh,
that's like
okay, yeah.
That's almost like an important movie.
No,
Yeah.
I know. I've heard. I really want to see it. Yep.
Yeah, Linsky's face acting and Angelica's eyebrows, I think, deserve some MTV Movie Award nominations because they were doing the work of multiple people in multiple scenes.
They really are. They really are. But I just want to point out, and this is sort of like, I've said this before, and I know that it wasn't a popular sentiment, but when you are told that a character is quote unquote fat, and she literally visibly is not, but then she gets paired with the only fat male character in a film, this is absolutely what happens in The Holiday with Kate Winslet and Jack Black. And I like Jack Black. I think he's great. And I'm not saying that, obviously, have all the fat people have all the love in the world. I'm not saying that at all. But I really hate this Hollywood idea that a woman, and especially like in this like usually heterosexual normative kind of thing, where a so-called fat woman gets a love interest and he has to be absolutely a fat man, and usually the only other fat man in the film. And this is Ever After is following in that tradition.
Well, yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah. I also thought like being fat in like the olden times, like the like extreme monarchy times, was like a sign of wealth and a sign of privilege, because like you had all this food, you had all this excess stuff. So like if you were heavy set or like a fat person, and it showed that you had money because you weren't starving like all the poor peasants who were like scraping.
You mean
by.
Rubenesque?
Yeah, that's the word.
Yes.
Rubenesque.
The Rubenesque.
I was like, it starts with an R. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it clear what happens to her at the end? Like, does she just go off and have a nice life? Like, she doesn't have to work in the laundry?
It seems to me like she just gets married to the guy and then is sort of in the royal court.
I got the sense that she tipped off the guy to come get them, and like he was the one who told Princey what happened. So when he showed up, and that little like wink she gave him at the end was her being like, haha, we got him.
Exactly. Yeah, I think she had switched allegiances.
Yeah.
And
she had the whole
they had her
most of the
dressed
movie.
like Danielle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was that?
Like they had her in like the fancied up version of like the peasant gear, and I was just like, this is probably purposefully done. In case we didn't know that she was the ugly fat sister, we need to know that she's the least liked of the family.
Well, because
like, she's dressed like the poor one.
Yeah, Radmilla is not actually trying to get both her daughters married. She is only focused on getting Marguerite married. Mm-hmm. She is constantly quite cruel to Jacqueline, and I mean, obviously, even crueler to Danielle. But like this is very weird to me.
There's shades of like Irish Catholic grandmother and that level of favoritism amongst children coming through with Radmilla and her dislike of Jacqueline. Yes,
actually, I can speak to that quite. Yes. That is the dynamic that I have. I am. Anyway, I won't go that. But yes.
That's a whole
As
other
a digression, can I just digress, because I think we're always very excited to see Angelica Houston in a movie, and I always am. But can I just say that as amongst the many things I do like about Wes Anderson is how much he loves Angelica Houston and gives her the most amazing female characters.
Yeah, I think he serves her relatively well.
Yeah, I mean, they're the strong center of everything. They're doing their own thing. Everyone loves her. Whatever movie, especially in the Royal Tenenbaums, it's incredible. Anyway,
she's I just wanted so to good say in the Royal Tenenbaums,
right?
I love her so much.
I know, and I just think that I always feel bad when I see her in a part like this that's not quite up to what she can do.
Yeah, I want to know the pitch they gave to her.
Well,
sorry, what did you say?
I want to know the pitch they gave to her to get her to do this movie, because when I saw her, she was
me
in
too.
It, even like when I was younger, I was like, whoa. Morticia, cool, love this. But like, I understand the pitch for the Addams Family. Fully, like, of course, I understand. But like this, I'm like, this seems like a choice. Did you lose a bet? Like,
did you need to buy a house? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I'm like, was your mortgage coming up for renewal on one of the mansions? Like, was this a necessity job?
I just want to share, because you know what? Sometimes Ebert's takes were always interesting, but he was extremely charmed by Ever After, gave it 3 out of 4 stars. And I'm just going to read the end part here. And I was reminded again that Drew Barrymore can hold the screen and involve us in her characters. Here, as the little Cinder Girl, she's able to at last put aside her bedraggled losers and flower as a fresh young beauty, and she brings poignancy and fire to the role.
That was Firestarter, wasn't it?
Tell me about how you're writing with an erection, Roger Ebert, without actually saying it.
His penis actually wrote that review.
I know, truly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've come to that point. Does Ever After pop? Sid, I'm coming to you first.
I think it does, with the caveat that it was an eye-opening experience for young feminists of the 90s to kind of get into like that way of thinking about you can be a strong, independent woman and still have a good life. But also, like, it does kind of suck that she ended up with the prince. I still think it does pop, though, because like it's 25 years later. We're talking about it. We all have opinions. So, yeah.
It pops for me as well. I mean, there's stuff I don't like, of course, and you just touched on most of it. But I still really enjoyed it. And it was like, it was 2 hours, but it didn't feel like an arduous 2 hours. Like, I feel like, yeah, it pops for me. Lisa?
No. I felt
Fair
every
enough.
minute of those 2 hours. I was a little worried when I saw that it was 2 hours when it started, but then I really felt them. And no, I can't.
Yep, that's fair.
I can't think of any reason I would recommend this. There we go. I've said it.
And AG.
Well, I mean, I think I'm giving it like a limp pop. If you have like a sentimental attachment to seeing it when you were younger and it means something, then like, I can see how as a young person you'd be inspired by this. But if you're going into it as like an old person adult and watching it for the first time,
fair.
It's too much. It's too much. It was too much for me to handle. Just credibility wise.
Oh my god! Just credibility wise is my favorite. My favorite way you've ever qualified a limp pop. Okay. I've never wanted us to have sound effects before, but now I want to know what you.
The limp pop. The champagne was flat that day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The champagne was not from France.
It was not. It was
Much like all the
Ghent stuff.
characters.
Yeah, that Ghent
like,
stuff.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's not gonna like wound you forever. Like it's not gonna scar you. But
Wow, high praise indeed.
that's what I was gonna say.
Wow. Wait, the longer you talk, the less it's going to be a limp pop, and the more you're going to take away the pop. We love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. Sid, as our guest, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'll recommend a show I think is wildly underrated. It's a cartoon comedy made by the same creators as Bob's Burgers. It's called The Great North. Stars Will Forte, Nick Offerman. Alanis Morissette plays herself in it, if you want to watch that.
Cool.
It contains one of my favorite lines of all time. They are called Lisa Loeb, the Human Cat Cafe, Lisa Loeb. Yeah, I'm selling it real well here.
That almost
and
just killed me. Okay.
So it's like actually like a really poignant, funny show. It's about like intergenerational grief and trauma and isolation. It's set in Alaska. It's really, really good and really, really funny. And it has like I said, some of my favorite one-liners of any show ever.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Nice.
Thank you so much. I want to go to Lisa now. What do you recommend?
Sure. So last week I had recommended Catwalk, which was free on YouTube, about Chrissy Turlington as a model. And because I'm obsessed with that period in our history, I watched all 4 episodes of the Supermodels on Apple Plus. And if that is a time that you were fascinated by, then this was a great series for you. All 4 episodes, it went from the beginnings, like how they got started, what the culture looked like, how they changed it, what happened, who they are now. Just quite a snapshot of the fashion industry in the 90s, which I think is a it's just like everyone that you've known. There's interviews with everybody. And I was obsessed with it, and I might go back and watch more of it again, even though I've seen all 4 episodes.
Cool. That's awesome.
Interesting.
AG, what about you?
So I started watching a show called I Have Nothing on Crave. It's created by Carolyn Taylor from Baroness von Sketch. And the premise is that it's a docu-comedy. And the premise is that she was like driving in her car one day and Whitney Houston's song, I Have Nothing, came on the radio. And she just had this like flash of inspiration that it would make the perfect pairs figure skating routine and that she wanted to be the choreographer of it. And so the show is about her sincere quest to choreograph a pairs routine program to this song. And, you know, like, of course, it's extremely funny. And at the first, you're like, oh,
and
this is
you,
like
and very you.
yeah, this is like a really funny journey. And it's funny because she's hilarious. But then as the episodes go on, you kind of like, it just becomes like clear that she actually sincerely wants to be a choreographer and she's actually sincerely trying to get this right.
Incredible.
And it's just like it's a hero's journey, actually.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a fascinating show. And it's got all the figure skating stars in it, like Kurt Browning.
I am so
Katerina
into this. I'm
Gordieva.
going to watch it as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of want to watch all the things that we've just talked about. But I'm also quite a sucker for that song.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. After you watch a show, it will be stuck in your head forever. Like I can't not hear it now every time it's like I have a quiet moment.
It played
Incredible.
one day when I was walking through grocery shopping. It came on, and I just thought, like, I needed a moment. Like, I couldn't just walk through the store like a regular person with that song playing. Like, I had to stop, just stand in front of one aisle and let the whole song come over me, and then I could move on. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. I get that. Thank you. These are great recommendations. My recommendation is a new book. I am not far into it, so but I'm going to recommend it anyways because I am convinced that it's great. And also, it is the category is literary fiction and gothic and horror. So like you're set up for sort of like moving into Halloween month. Or we're in Halloween month actually. Sorry. It's called And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. And I'm just going to read the very brief description. A mind-bending, razor-sharp look at motherhood and mental health that follows a young Indigenous woman who discovers the picture-perfect life she always hoped for may have horrifying consequences. I love Alicia Elliott. I'm so excited for like this. She wrote the really wonderful collection of essays, A Mind Spread Out on the Ground, a number of years ago. This is her first foray into fiction, her first novel. And I love her, and I'm so excited for this book and for everyone to read it because I think it's great.
Wow. There's
lots of good stuff
group
here.
of recommendations this week. Yeah.
We didn't phone it in, friends. That's all I got to say. We did a great job. Sid, do you want people to be able to find you online, or would you like them to just leave you alone?
I mean, they can follow my attempts at cooking on Instagram at Bad Photo Good Food.
Oh, really? I didn't know you had that.
No, neither
I'm
did
really
I.
going to follow
No.
that.
Yeah, I was like, now that we're in a nice new, like, newish apartment, been here for a few years, but like, I have so much counter space, and because we weren't going out because of COVID, I bought like a lot of fancy kitchen tools, so I've been like cooking a lot at home, and like TikTok has been great for that, because like, here's 30 seconds, and there's a recipe attached to it, and I'm like, great. So yeah, Bad Photo, Good Food. It's all cooking photos, occasional beer photos, and the Chihuahua.
Yay! Perfect combination.
And memes.
Yeah.
Yay! Perfect combination. Well, thank you everyone for listening. You can hang out with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You could rate and review us 5 stars, please.
And thank you to Andrea Gin, our co-host and producer here. And thank you all for listening. And thanks, Sid, for joining us. It was really, really great.
Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you.
me.
It was great.
Yeah.
So nice to hang out with you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.